It's an absolutely ridiculous day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Magic has teamed up with Hot Pockets to disgust your mouth hole. And on top of that, on a very serious note, Wizards of the Coast has also fired its entire Latin American team.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Welcome to my kitchen. I have the most glorious of Magic the Gathering news for you. For all of you culinary enthusiasts, today it has been unveiled. Magic the Gathering Hot Pockets. Take a gander at this image. Now, I saw this earlier today. It made me do a double take. My brain went, wait, hold on. Disgusting Hot Pockets, but Magic the Gathering style? What even is this that I'm looking at? And then my brain went, wait, Gideon? Is Gideon punching Hot Pockets? What even is this, right? It's a whole new dimension of somebody made this nonsense up. Literally, yesterday's video was about AI artwork and the crazy beanbag secret lair, and here we are. This must be another fake image, especially since Gideon's been dead since War of the Spark, right? Like there's going to be a Magic the Gathering Hot Pocket crossover, but this is real. There are multiple images of it. Actually, on a side note, it kind of throws me off a little. I live in Canada, so all of our packaging has a ton of French writing on it as well. Seeing all this stuff, I'm like, where's the French? And it's like, never mind. This is American packaging, but also, why are 12 packs of Hot Pockets shown in these two different configurations? Why do you have stand-up versions and side loader versions? Is this the same box from different angles? I don't know what the deal is. The whole thing sent me spinning for a loop, specifically the Gideon part. But for real, this is actually going on. This is a Magic the Gathering arena promotion. So you know how they had them Dorito and Mountain Dew? You're gonna be the best Halo teabagger if you drink all the Mountain Dew and eat all the potato chips and get them all over your controllers. Well, Magic's like, yo, we're a legitimate esports game. Why don't we hook up with Hot Pockets and advertise on their boxes? Which you have to admit, this is very fitting because Hot Pockets and Arena are like the same thing. Regular Magic is having a nice home-cooked meal, right? Hot Pockets are Arena, where you're eating pig's lips or whatever, other holes, whatever it is you're eating. It ain't good time. Salivary glands, whatever it is. Hot Pockets, these things are genuinely depressing. Here's my biggest gripe with products like this. These ultra processed things. Like, I want to love them. I like junk and salt and fat and all that, but they don't taste good. That's the biggest crime. They don't taste good. Now, they actually have listed out what you can get from buying these, and it's kind of funny. Here's how it works. Wizards of the Coast, even when you're buying Hot Pockets, doesn't want to give you that many codes. It's like, come on, Wizards is limiting it so much. Here's how it works. You get 2 packs. Basically, you get a 2-pack of Hot Pockets, you get 1 arena code. If you get one of these fat honkin' daddy 12 packs, then you get 5 arena codes. So they couldn't even go ahead and spring for 6 in a 12 pack. And you know why? That's because it's actually capped at 5 codes per lifetime for your account. So 1 box of Hot Pockets, if you buy a 12 pack, that is all you're gonna get. Now, the breakdown of what you actually get is a pre-constructed deck, which I'm very curious about. What does a Hot Pocket pre-con deck look like? So you get that. You get a Planeswalker avatar, you get Planeswalker sleeves, so you get a couple of cosmetics, and then you get 2,000 experience and 2,000 experience. So first of all, you get the deck, then you get the avatar, sleeves, 2,000 experience, 2,000 experience. So a couple of level ups on Arena, essentially, it's pretty much nothing. Aside from the pre-constructed deck, this is all throwaway stuff, which is to be expected. It blows my mind that Wizards is not going to let you buy more Hot Pockets and just get more experience. Why wouldn't they just go, you can get 2K experience? Like, it blows my mind. The lifestyle, I'm going to sit down and play Arena and eat Hot Pockets. That's the picture of depression to me. That's just sad times. Hot Pockets are the worst. Unless, I mean, you're listening to a Jim Gaffigan comedy special, right? What we need is Jim Gaffigan photoshopped over Gideon's face. This is actually real. And it's like meatballs and mozzarella and a flaky garlic crust. And then when you bite into it, you're just like, oh, and that madness, that mix of goop that's in there, the cheese that doesn't quite melt right, the strange little meat chunklets. Dude, oh, I can feel my skin crawling. Okay, let's get that out of the kitchen and move on to Latin America. Wizards of the Coast has cooked up the whole team in the skeleton. Boo! Flipped them right off the table because they are done. The Latin American team has been fired in their entirety. Whoever was specifically in charge of that team just posted, hey, I'm going to be job seeking shortly. My whole team is done. They're cleaning house. So you may recall that Hasbro made that announcement that they were slashing 15% of their workforce. Now, since I've made that video, I have heard the troubling facts, well, not facts, I suppose. It's thoughts in terms of when it comes to downsizing your employee base. When you're cutting off 10% or less, that's like making a more tight organization. Once you get up to 15%, you're doing it as theater for the shareholders to move enough money around. And as a result, you can end up hacking off parts you actually need. Now, I genuinely have no idea how integral this team is. Obviously, it sucks for them. You know, you lose your jobs in this big sweep out of nowhere and for no fault of your own, really. Like, ultimately, this is most likely because of the backlash from 30th anniversary not selling and then the D&D players just going, get some, and coming down on Wizards too. So Wizards just going, all right, we've got to just slash. These people lose their jobs. Now, this doesn't mean people in that part of the world won't be able to get Magic, but as far as I understand what this means going forwards is you're just going to be absolutely at the mercy of your distributors. And let me tell you, distributors can be kind of like sharks. They're all your best friend when they're like, dude, I have so much stuff to sell you. Do you want to buy this product that I can't move that much of? I'll sell you 1,000,000 boxes. Oh, you want this new hotness? Yeah, allocation, son. Allocation, as in I've allocated a bunch into my basement because I know like a couple months down the line, I can charge you more for it. So being in the hands of the distributors isn't, it's not abtastic exactly. It's not all distributors, but I'm just saying the way that businesses work, they tend to leverage positions. So overall, not having official representatives over there is not going to make things smoother. So that's rough for the countries that are involved in that part of the world with what's going down, and I expect to see more of this. There will be more corporate bloodletting. The money must flow. Hasbro must get to the trough and like Warhammer, blood for the blood god. Hasbro's just more skulls. Anyways, let's move on to the next news item we have on the list. A couple little things. Actually, this one ties in a little bit to what we were talking about, cosmetics for Arena. Apparently, now, I'm not as up to date on what's going on with Arena because as they brought in the alchemy format and Wizards got greedier and greedier with their changes, and when they started going 900 gold for a $1,000 booster pack, that's a deal, son. It's like, no, that's a begrudging, I'll take it. I don't feel like a deal. I feel like you're giving me the bare minimum to pretend it's a deal, and it's only in your in-game gold currency. So, when it comes to Arena, I'm a salt pillar, okay? I loved it originally, and slowly but surely, they turned me from it. Now, there is anger in the community over some cosmetic changes to sleeves where they've sold sleeves to people, and after they were sold, they made some changes. I couldn't even tell you what the changes are because I just saw that in passing. I think it was some minor tweaks, but I figured that I would mention it as we move on to the next more hilarious item on the list, which is for the next Magic Con. You guys... Do you remember the whole Commander Zone kerfuffle that they had in the previous event where it was like, okay, so they had this big Commander event, but unless you had a they had this big Magic event with a particular Commander Zone. And if you didn't have an access pass that was like, if you're not like a Mox Ruby or above, you can't even come and play in it. That kind of thing, right? Like it was exclusive. You had to spend a certain amount of money to get into it. And it took up a whole bunch of space. You had all these people who had to play outside the convention and just kind of deal with it, right? So what's going on? We're going to make some new passes for this new upcoming convention. We're going to make content creator passes. Do you make content? It's for me. It's for Papa Abs in his special kitchen. So they make these passes for content creators, right? And understand, this is the company. Like, we're in the Commander era. Ask yourself, do you feel like this is the Commander era, where Wizards went, once upon a time, in the great long ago, Standard was the way we did everything. We built Standard, and that was it. And we just let everything flow outwards and flow outwards. And then eventually we said, you know what? We'll make one set of Commander decks a year. And that will be our entire nod to Commander. We're going to leave it in the players' hands. And then slowly but surely, Wizards went, wait, money. Commander players. This is actually the biggest format that everybody plays. It's the only format that everybody plays. And they went, let's make 80 Commander decks every year. All right. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but they've made 25, 30 in a year now. They just bam, right? Like you went from 4 to 30. You get a few a month, it feels like. There's always new Commander deck variations. They made an entire Commander deck secret layer. So Wizards clearly was like, Commander. So many cards and sets designed for Commander. Commander Legends. We know Commander's a big deal. We know the Commander area is a big deal because it was a problem for MagicCon. We're creating... But Commander's the biggest format. Content creators create content for Magic. Commander, biggest format. Content creators. Now, do these come together? No. Here's what they did. They made the content creator passes not have access to the Commander play area. Hey, are you a content creator? Commander's our biggest format, so you probably talk about it in some regards. So we figure, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to restrict your access and go, you don't get at it? Like, what is this? I'm sure will be resolved, but it's hilarious. It just shows the disconnect. Think about Wizards of the Coast and the way they handled that whole cosplay competition, where they're like, yo, how about we give you a little bit of fabric and a handshake, you know? It was, what was it? It was a $200 gift card, right? For first place. And I think after they got hassled about it, they boosted it up to like $3,000. They were like, okay, so this is something that's going to get resolved, which is why it's just a minor news item. But the next thing I want to talk about is actually more important because it speaks to the quality issues that we have right now with Magic the Gathering. And that is the step and complete foils. Oh, and Zapandrel didn't even make my list. Gonna throw it out there as well, guys, just so you know. The Oil Slick Zapandrel also has another error. You know, we're always putting out cards and go, look, they missed this, they did this. Oh, they left a mana symbol off. All that. So I didn't even get it on my list because there's so many things to cover. So Zapandrel is messed up as well for those future Oil Slick printings because Wizards can't help themselves. They're like, yo, we're too busy printing 1 billion Elish Norns to make sure she's actually even on the card. Who cares? We celebrate misprints by the guy who got an entire misprint deck. We made a card celebrating him in our game. We don't care if our cards are misprinted. We don't care if we have quality issues. So the step and complete, or the rub one out foils, as I'm calling them now, because there is a scenario where somebody has discovered that if you take your, and guys, this is just a warning, first of all, protect your step and complete foils very, very carefully, because you can rub the Phyrexian symbols off of them is the claim that's being made. Now, there's another counterclaim that ends in the exact same result. There's someone saying you can rub symbols off. There's another person saying you can't rub the symbols off, but it will look as if the symbols were rubbed off. So either way, how it works is you have the step and complete pattern, right? So that is the continuing Phyrexian symbols. If you were to take one of your little greasy boy thumbs, just rub it on your greasy face like this. You don't have to do that. It can already just be regular thumb grease. And then just start to rub over one of those symbols. It'll disappear. So the contentions are either that it's printed so poorly you can literally rub that stuff off, or somebody who's saying that they work in like a printing facility and understand how this works says there's a bunch of grooves and stuff like that, and it's actually jank from your hands that builds up in there and makes it so you can no longer see the symbol underneath. Now, I have to give that theory at least a little bit of credit, because if you've never played in the earliest days of Magic, you might notice this with your sleeves too, but if you never played in the earliest days of Magic, before we had sleeves, and if you ever see old white bordered cards and you see black spots all over them and you wonder like, is that marker dot, ink spot? What is that? It's actually hand jank. Like grease from your hands would build up along the white borders. It was part of the reason that as beginners, when we started back in the day, you didn't want white bordered cards. Cards weren't sleeved or whatever, so white bordered cards looked gross compared to black bordered cards, and people would take erasers or lick their thumb and rub all that grease off. But if you have really used sleeves, you'll also find that jank just banked up on the edges too. That gets on cards. So it's the same kind of concept where it's human residue filling out those phyrexian grooves. And I think that's a great sentence to end the news on. So now, if you're not a patron of this channel, thanks for coming by, leave, because the rest of this is just for the patrons. You guys are the smartest, best people on the planet. Thanks for supporting Papa's Super Cooking Magic Man, which is the new name of my channel. So this is just for you. If anybody's not a patron, look away. Get out. You don't deserve this. And on that note, I will see you all either for the next video or on tonight's live stream, which is down in the comments below for a link.